It's a beautiful day and we thank God for today. It's another bright day. You're welcome. Thank you so much for joining in. Thank you for tuning. Thank you for viewing. Thank you for following. You make me smile. You're my biggest customers out there. Thank you so much. My name is Joy and you're welcome. We're still continuing with our topic, service mentality. And today, still under the main topic of customer care, we are going to talk about something really important, and that is clear communication and use of positive language. Positive language in customer care. It is very important. You know, language is what we use to communicate, but it has two sides. It can either be negative or positive. And today, I want to focus on the positive language. How can we use the positive language as we relate with people? Remember, we are also talking about serving people, working with people, relating with people, dealing with people. So it is so important to know how you are going to communicate with them. And communication as a topic is very wide, but I picked out this small element of language, and precisely positive language. Oh, it is so important to know that when people come next to you, or when people come close to you, or when people come to relate with you, they are expecting to hear from you. They are expecting an interaction with you. This particular interaction could either be to receive a product, or to work with you, or to get answers from you, or to get a service from you. So meaning they are not relating with a billboard. They are not relating with a signpost. They are not relating with like a circular or brochure. They want to hear exactly what you have to say. They want to get communication between you and that person. And I want to emphasize positive language. Okay? So when we are talking about positive language here, this is built within you. And for you to have this positivity, number one, you need to have a listening ear. By the time this person is walking to your desk, they have something they are going to explain, or they are going to pick from you, or they are going to ask from you. So you need to be very sensitive and listen to what they have come for. Number one, for you to bring out positivity, you must be a good listener. You must be able to listen to what I'm saying. As you are listening, within you, you're building a ground of what you're going to respond to and how you're going to respond. You will agree with me that many times if you're not a good listener, you're quick to answer. So, and what are you answering at that point? You could be answering wrong things. You could be answering unclear things. You could be not clear because you're so quick to answer. You've not understood. You are presumptuous. Have you seen people who quickly answer and then you're like, no, that's not what I meant? Yeah? Because they were not good listeners. They did not pay attention to what you're saying. Now, for you to have positive language, pay attention to someone. As you're paying attention, within you, you're building the answer that you're going to bring out. Many times when you're calm and collected, you'll bring out a positive answer. But if you're rushy and quick and presumptuous, it's quick for you to answer things that you don't understand, or to give a negative, expression. So if you're going to relate with people and have positive language, you're going to be good at listening. Calm down, listen, compose yourself, and then give out the answer. Also, customers don't like stories. They don't easily relate with people who are, they always give like so many stories. When someone walks to you, they have come for a service, for a product, they have come to get information. They want that information. They are not interested in your stories. Have you ever gone to this desk and maybe you want to buy something and someone is still, engaged in their own stories, maybe stories from home. They are still talking to someone else and they are like, you know, and they are off the topic of what you're saying. Customers love people who are clear. Communicate clear to them. Be positive. You know, relate with me. Don't give me stories. Sometimes when you're like you tell so many stories, you end up lying, you end up not being clear, you end up sometimes being off topic. So, if you're going to use positive language, also put it in you that you need to create an environment where you're going to speak life, where you're going to relate with people to exactly what they have come for. Don't give your own stories. Don't meander. When you are dealing with people about, let's say, payments, sensitive areas like payments, like time, like consequences, okay? You need to be clear. You need to have positive language and you need to be clear. Things like payment, let me give you an example. If I came and I'm doing a payment and maybe the product, let's say, is of like 5,000 shillings. But for me to take that product with me, I need to pay extra monies. Like maybe I need to pay taxes. I need to pay transportation. I need to pay, let's say, courier, something like that. So if I have come to your desk and I'm getting that kind of service, you need to be clear and communicate to me about the complete process that I'm going to pay. Don't just let me pay the 5,000 and yet, you know, at the end of the day, I will need to pay like 8,000, you know. I need to pay more than the money exactly attached to the product. Be clear. Give me the whole information. Tell me, you know, this product is 5,000, but you also need to pay 500 for the taxation, and you also need to pay the courier or the transportation that we shall use to bring your product, or the packing, or the packing or the package. So that is clear. Other than you letting me pay 5,000, then after paying for my product, then you tell me, but we need to pack it. And I'm like, okay, pack it for me. And you're like, you haven't paid for the packing. You're not clear in your communication. When you're not clear in your communication, you'll create frustration on both sides, on your side and on the customer's side. And when the customer is frustrated, they'll then tell you, why didn't you tell me that in advance? I didn't know I was supposed to pay for the packaging as well. I didn't know I was supposed to pay an extra fee. And then you're like, but that is how we do it. You see, that is when the negative language and negative energy will rise within you. So positivity starts with you being clear in your communication. When you're clear in your communication, it will be easy for you to complete the process. I hope that is clear. When you're dealing with things like time, you know, and you're explaining something about time, about consequences, you need to be clear. Otherwise, it will cause you trouble. If you're not, then at the end of the day, the customer may become rude, and that will end up probably you also becoming rude and uttering negative language. What do I mean with time and consequences? There are things that when you are paying for, or when you're not transacting, there's a time limit attached. Like it could be in an institution, and you're like, if you don't hand in your exams within 5 days, you'll get a penalty. So that's a consequence. There's a time limit, 5 days, and there's a consequence in case you don't do it on time. You'll get a penalty of, let's say, paying an amount, or not taking in your exam or your paper, and maybe or redoing or receipting the exam, something like that. Now, from the start, if I am dealing with you as your customer care agent or representative, I should be able to give you clear information, complete information for you to know. If I'm only giving half information, for example, oh, you're welcome, now you're admitted to this university, and you think that is all, and you tell the person, we shall be doing exams, and you don't tell them when the exams are done, what happens if they have not yet paid for those exams, what it will cost them if they don't hand in their exams on time. Now, these people will think it's okay. As time goes on, you start telling them the consequences, or they fall victim, and that's when the consequences are brought to them. That will cause trouble. And as it causes trouble, it may give you an attitude of being negative to this person, to these people, and they are also negative to you. So it will cause friction. What am I talking about? I'm saying when you're dealing with people, when you're dealing with customers, when you're dealing with anyone that has come face to face with you, give them clear information. It will help you be positive. It will help you have positive language, even when you're giving the consequences. Sometimes people don't want to give the entire package because they're hiding something under the consequences. They know probably if we tell you the entire thing, you will withdraw. But if you're going to be an excellent customer care representative, you better give the entire package so that it saves you. You be positive even when you're giving the consequences. You tell them, yeah, we would love you to be our student. Thank you for joining. But these things also come along with it. If you don't do your homework, you will never graduate. If you don't pay on time, you will not sit the exams. If you don't do this, but we are happy that you've joined the campus. So that, it will save you a lot, okay? I hope we are together up to that point. Now, it can also come in a way when you are you have to give instructions. Be positive when you're giving illustrations and instructions to customers. Let me tell you something. When you are seated and facing someone that you're serving, you're not a billboard. You're not a billboard. You're not a signpost. Billboards do not talk. Signposts do not communicate. They communicate what is written on them, and that is it. But you are beyond that. You are a human being. So when you are placed at that desk, when you are placed at that gate, when you are placed at that entry at the church and you're an usher, when you are placed at the pulpit and you're the leader, when you are placed as a mother, you're a parent, you are now interacting with people directly. It goes beyond a billboard. So don't act like a billboard. Don't be like, you cannot explain, you cannot illustrate. If something needs an illustration, go ahead and illustrate. Even if the flyer mentioned, sometimes we are lost in flyers, sometimes we are lost in previous information or in an advert for that matter. And someone can easily say, didn't you see the flyer? Or you walk to someone's desk and they have you walked to people's desks and they also have the flyers just besides them at the desk here, and you walk to them and you're asking about something, a product or information that they can actually explain, and they simply pick the flyer and give it to you. By the time I have walked to you, you can do better than that. You can still give me the flyer and still take me through what the flyer is saying. That is why you are at that point. That is why at that point there is no flyer. That's why at that point there is no billboard. You are the one in charge. So take it and be positive and give me that positive language or clear communication that I expect to get from an individual, not from a flyer. Woo, I'm teaching good. Today they are really tight things. There's nothing like laughing around it. But I need you to understand that concept very well. Now, recently, I visited a hospital. Let me give you a story. And I'd escorted a friend of mine for their antenatal visits. And at this hospital, there was a desk for where you reach and you're sorted. So there was a nurse seated at that desk, and behind the nurse, there was a billboard. And a billboard, or a notice board, for that matter, had information like, if you're coming here for antenatal, this is what will happen. So they had highlighted a few things. This is what you need to pay. This will cost you. You'll have over 7 visits. You'll do maybe 3 scans. Such things were on the billboard. And the nurse was behind the desk. So she was attending to many people. But at that point, there were few, one at a time. And she had just finished attending to us. And as I waited for my colleague to go through the process, a lady came in. She was expecting, she was pregnant. So this lady comes in and she says, I want to start my antenatals here. And this nurse was busy in the book writing whatever she was writing. She did not listen to what this lady is saying. She did not pay attention to what the customer was saying. She did not even raise her up to look at this person. So she continued to write and she was like, oh, it's your first time? And this lady was like, yes. And she's like, she pointed like, look at the notes board. Can you imagine? And the lady looked at the notes board, and of course some things were not clear. There were things there that probably she needed to be explained to. And this lady continued to write. And after this lady looked at the notes board, like 1 minute or two, she looked around and walked off. Now, as she walked off, the nurse now raised her head and said, hey, have you finished getting information? Did you understand? As this lady is actually walking. And the customer just looked back and smiled, and she proceeded. Now, I don't know. Did that customer get what she wanted? I don't know. Was she attended to? I don't know. Will she come back? I don't know. Did that hospital lose a customer? Most probably, yes. You are at this desk and you are not being positive. Your language is so negative. Now, that is negative energy. That is negative language. If you're seated there, even if the information is all over, you can still engage. You can still tell this customer, oh, I'm still handling this, but meanwhile, look at this flyer. I'll be coming back to explain to you. You know, I mean, don't be a billboard that cannot communicate. Be positive in the way you handle and in the way you relate with customers. Very, very important in life. Now, Titus 2 in the Bible, Titus, there's that Titus in the Bible, chapter 2, verse 8. Paul was talking to his son called who? Timothy. And he told him, this is what it says in Titus 2:8. Let your speech be sound. Have sound speech, you know. Meaning, let your speech have character in it. In other words, let your speech be positive. Yeah? The way you talk to people should be what? Positive, you know. This is also biblical. So wherever you are positioned, child of God, if you're going to attract customers, if we are going to look at your service and say, wow, excellence in service, you're going to have sound speech. You're going to tame your speech. Your speech must have good character in it. Good wordings. It must be positive and not negative. People should not come out and condemn the way you speak to them because of the way you interacted with them. Okay. Then also, I'll quote again from Proverbs chapter 18, verse 4. Proverbs 18, verse 4 says that the words of a man's mouth are as deep waters. Oh, that your words, they are so deep, like deep waters. That means if you are a person with negativity, your words will come out, they'll be so deep. They'll go to someone's life deeply, cut across. But if your words are positive, they'll still go deep, but they'll be in a positive way. Language creates perception. Did you hear that? Language creates perception about you, the individual, about the company you're working for, about the organization you're representing, about the church, the ministry. Language creates a perception. So how you speak to people, if it is in a positive way, they will say, wow, the ministers at that church. Wow, the people in that community. Wow, the person at that reception. They'll think the entire company is good at whatever they are doing just because of what? Your language. So be positive. Finally, as I conclude this session, I want to tell you something, that your language will either pull people to you or it will send people away from you. Your language. Language can be positive when it has faith in it. You know, faith means sometimes you are looking at things that are unseen and you see them like they are real. Yeah. Faith is very positive. Now, this is one of the examples I learned some time back. There's a university I used to work for, and in the university, for you to be admitted, you needed to have some requirements that you meet. This was a theological university. Now, many Christians think, or even people out there, that when you're going for theology, you can just, you have the Spirit in you and you walk in and you're admitted. Sometimes it's not like that. This particular university, you needed to have done senior 6, at least senior 6, and to have passed it with at least 2 principal passes. Now, I would get requests from people, calls, and people would walk to my desk and say, I want to join the university. I want to do bachelor's in pastoring, bachelor's in so forth. And I would tell them, okay, what are your requirements? What do you have? These are the requirements. And the person will tell you, me, God called me. I am a senior 2 dropout. I am a P7 dropout. I have never sat senior 6. Or some of them even have done senior 6, but they were not able to get 2 principal passes. Now, positive language. What happens is that, how do you give the package to this person finally? Look at these two scenarios. If someone walked to you and they tell you, I want to register for that course, but I didn't do senior 6. 1, negative language would say, come on, you want to do a degree and you didn't even complete, you're a P3 dropout, for crying out loud. That is not possible. At least maybe you better go back to adult education first, then you come for degree things. You can't come for a degree when you can't even barely speak English. What are you going to do here? Even here we write papers in English. That is negative language. Then how about if you came to me and you told me, I don't have the requirements, but I would like to do a bachelor's. I'm a senior 3 dropout. This is how I would handle many times. Oh, wow, you have such a great desire and dream. You can always achieve it. Apparently, we are not able to admit you because of the requirements that you need to present that you may not have. But you can actually go to maybe start with a certificate. You can actually start with a certificate, then later you can upgrade. Or you can actually, we have adult education. You could go back and maybe sit your P7 or do your senior 4 or something like that. Then you'll come back like after 2 years, or depending on this person's scenario, you see. Or I would give alternatives of the other thing that they can do. But telling someone, nah, for you don't qualify, that is being negative. Customers don't like negative language. When someone walks to you and they don't have enough money to pay for that product, for example, have you seen people where you walk in and they first look at you like, are you even able to pay for this suit? The face is already communicating negative language. How about if I walked in, even if I don't look like that suit, and you give me attention, you're like, yeah, you can actually have the suit. And I'm like, oh, that is a lot of money. And you're like, you can pay in installments. We have a process here that you can go through. You can open, a book for you, and you keep depositing until you get to this amount. Other than telling me, how much? 5,000? And yet we need how much? 500,000? No, please, maybe you try somewhere else. We don't do that kind of package. Customers don't like that. They'll never walk back to that shop. What am I talking about? I'm talking about being positive in life. Being positive when you're dealing with people. Even if they don't look like it, you don't know where they are going. You don't know who they are becoming tomorrow. You don't know what is going to become of them. Treat people right, communicate clearly, and be positive. Use positive language. Even if they don't look like they deserve that seat, give them a seat and say, you're welcome, you're in the right place. How can we help you? Then as you interact with them, give them direction to where they are supposed to go. Be positive in life. So today, I want to close off by encouraging us that if you're going to be a magnet for people, let people know you give them faith. There's this story in the Bible with Moses, when Moses sent the spies to go and spy the land where they were supposed to go in Canaan. And the spies that went there came back and said, oh, the land is good, it is beautiful, it is full of milk and honey, but guess what? We cannot take it. The guys there are stronger than us. Look at how they presented. They said the land is full of milk and honey, meaning they first said the positive things, then the negative came to them and said, but we cannot. And what does Moses pick from there? Immediately, the man called Caleb and Joshua and Moses picked up and said, the fact that it is good, filled with, milk and honey, we shall go. So the positivity pulled off the negative, and they pushed forward. Yeah? If probably these people had come back and said, that land, it is dry, there's nothing good about it, why should we even go? They would not have gone. But the fact that they came back and what they gave, much as the enemy was there, much as the situation was not easy, like for them to go in to just take, what pulled them to actually push in was what? The positivity that was attached to that land. So today, be positive. When you're dealing with people, be positive. Speak positively. Show them that it's possible. Explain the consequences clearly. You can say something that is negative, but come with a positive attitude. Wear that positivity within you, and for sure, customers will fall right into your palms. Jesus, our role model here, it was always very positive. He was positive with people, even if sometimes these people looked like they are fishermen, they were nothing, they were nobody, they were Roman. He was positive. He knew something is going to come out of them, and he built positivity in them. Child of God, I don't know whether you have picked something there, but in life, positive attitude will move you to make bigger steps. Positive attitude will pull people to come to you. If you're this kind of person who is always negative, you're always on the other side, you're always bitter, you're always negative, you're always seeing bad from people, you're always only bringing out their weaknesses, customers will run away from you. Live a positive life. That is the life that will pull customers, and that is an excellent customer attitude. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have been blessed. I love you. See you next time. God bless you. My name is Joy.